into the line. Fillon Maillet putting the second Frenchman on the podium. And what a day it was for the French yesterday. 1 and 3 in the men's, and of course they went and won the women's as well. Chevalier getting her first ever World Cup victory. That's always a big step, Mike, but it's mighty difficult to follow it on and get that second one.
I think she did so well to start bib number 2, to hold her nerve. Often we see for the first time people getting on the podium really feeling the pressure. What about this man, Mickey Rouge, former German national team, now Belgium. He's had a great start to the season.
Yeah, looked good yesterday. My only concern is still not skiing quite fast enough to threaten the best. Shot perfect yesterday, that's the secret. It's often the secret in the mass start, which is the event today, of course. But I think you just need to be a little bit sharper. 1 in the range and 2 on that final lap.
Final lap is going to be so important today. Of course, 3 kilometers for the men. Each track, each loop. So it's a little testing, and especially after so many races. Well, that was a new rifle for Moravec, or was it glued together after his break yesterday? I didn't quite see.
Well, that would have been, yes, super glue rather than Araldite, I think, would have done the job overnight, but I'm not sure that's the case. Martin Fourcade looking relaxed and happy. Moravec looks a little bit but like Andy Bernbacher to me, who was a long-time member of the German team. Is Moravec going to be the man that gets these guys cheering? Well, with the Czech flag and the Norwegian, they're likely to have a little bit of success, something to cheer about today. The Norwegians will be looking again to Johannes Tingesbo. He is, of course, the world champion in the mass start. He denied Martin Fourcade the clean sweep in Oslo last year with what was certainly the race of the season. Johannes Tinges chasing down Fourcade on that last lap. Bjorn Dahlen getting into 3rd place. That was an incredible race, Mike. Hopefully, we're going to see something like that again here.
I hope so. I'm just wondering about Martin Fourcade today. Does he ever have a bad day physically? No, over the last 3-4 seasons, we haven't seen many bad days. He has to be tired. The intensity that he hits these races, surely today, mentally, physically, he's going to show a little weakness somewhere in his race.
Well, if you go back 4 years to the World Championships here, the mass start, he had a very mediocre race. Right at the end of the World Championships, I think that was one occasion where he was exhausted.
And that's the only time he'll have a poor performance, is when he's totally exhausted. And I think just prior to the Christmas break, psychologically, you're thinking, oh my word, I've got to take myself into battle one more time. I'm expecting him to be a little less off his perfectionist today.
Yeah, but you've done enough interval sessions, Mike, to know that the last interval is actually easier than the first one, because your psychology is completely changed. You know, once you cross that line, your day's over.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait. We saw Kretschmar there. I hope that there's Moravec and Kretschmar involved for Czech Republic today.
Yeah, 15 kilometres, quite a long interval, it has to be said. And it's a tough course, a slightly adapted 3-kilometre loop here for the men because of the snow conditions. I can't see it making a huge amount of difference. That last little loop above the range, as you see it on that graphic, we get a good shot of that one. It's a much steeper, longer climb than it looks on the screens.
It's a wearing, it's a very tiring course, especially today, taking the distance a little farther, 15 kilometres. It's a real endurance event today for the biathletes.
Now, Mike, who's going to bring home the goods for the Czech Republic today? Is there a chance? Schlesinger looked pretty sharp yesterday. Sukup shooting brilliantly. Moravec has got it if he can just hit the targets and doesn't fall over again. But it's still more likely to come from Kukalova.
Well, yes, you would expect so, but look what Moravec did yesterday. Remember, he snapped his rifle, missed 5 out of 5 in his second throw on the team spare rifle. I think Moravec could give us something special today. Schlesinger had a great race as well.
Well, there's your start list. And, of course, Fourcade wearing number 1. They're in order of their World Cup positions. Slight adaptation on how to qualify for the mass start, the first one of this season. Top 25 in the World Cup standings, plus the 5 best performances from this World Cup so far. So Vindish, Sukup, Biontegard, Semenov and Iliev getting a run out. Iliev was outside the top 45 of the World Cup standings before coming to NOVE MESTO, so he's had a good weekend. Now, what are we going to see from the Norwegian team? Bjorndalen, Biontegard, Bo, no Tarjei Bo, who of course won the world title here back in 2013.
And Birkeland as well, so the Norwegian 4 in the lineups. Pity about Svensson, a little unwell today, not starting.
Benedikt Döhl of Germany, he'll enjoy this occasion. And we talk about the expectation in the pursuit, Mike, because when you start early, you're expected to do well. That sort of falls off everyone's shoulders, except maybe the top 3 in the World Cup. And Fourcade certainly starts with more pressure than anyone else, but he's been so dominant, and you can see him waltzing down the start lane as if he's just lining up for another training session. What do you know about his training?
I know that he takes it probably further than most, or maybe that's why he's the best. I know this summer he was adapting some strength training to roller ski, dragging a great big tire behind him. He takes, I know he gets the camera to follow him from every angle so he can see his angles, how his body attitude is on his roller skis. And he's just renowned for his thorough training and tough training.
Anton Shapulin, it's been a good run for him since we left Sweden, and certainly he'll fancy his chances, but he knows he's got to outshoot Martin Fourcade. That's not easy. He needs an advantage after the last shoot. Johannes Tingesbo, 15Ks, Mike. His only weakness, he's shown this, apart from the first shot on a couple of the prone shoots, the only other weakness we've had is the last lap. And you know, this stage of the season, maybe we'll see that improve after Christmas, but I'm not sure he's going to contend with Fourcade if they come out level after the final shoot.
Possibly not, although the great thing with Johannes Tingesbo, he wants a little more than he's achieved so far this season, so he'll be putting everything into today. Bjorndalen as well. This time last year he was ranked 13th, he's ranked 5th this season in the world.
I must say, as a dad, he looks much more relaxed than he's been in the past. Good to see him on the first 3 rounds of the World Cup. So here we go, the final men's race before the Christmas break. It's the first mass start of the season, 15 kilometers, 4 shoots. And of course, Martin Fourcade started the season in yellow. He's still in yellow. He's got a whopping lead of 127 points already in the World Cup. It's likely he'll be in yellow all the way to the World Cup finals. Avoiding breakages in the first kilometre, absolutely essential. No point of pushing the pace too much if you're at the back of this group. There's not a lot of space to get through. You've just got to be patient and try and make up ground when you come into the first shoot. Shapulin very sharp away, Mike. He's going to control the pace initially.
A big move from Shapulin, and I noticed Fourcade wasn't interested getting out first. He didn't want to take the lead pace. I think the lead pace, though, Patrick, let's be honest, I don't think this first 3 kilometres is going to be that fast. Nobody will really want to push it that hard, surely.
Now, when you were in your prime,
long time ago.
How long were you out on the tracks before you started to feel the pain of pushing the pace? Generally, for someone who's of average fitness, you get 45 seconds to a minute where you feel fantastic, and then it hits you.
It does. No matter what, you can see they've taken it slow to begin with. I think you're right. 3 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes into the race, then you're on your limit of coping with technique and coping with your breathing, coping with the level in which you're hitting it.
And if you haven't done the warm-up, that hits you a lot earlier.
Very much, and you get a rebound if you haven't done a good warm-up.
What did you favour in terms of the pulse rates?
Well, the good thing with when you're zeroing, centering your rifle, you want to go out to get the pulse up. Important to get your arm muscles pumped up because you've got the arm support on your left arm if you're a right-handed shot. Most of these guys are. So you want to certainly go out there, do 3 to 5 kilometers, and within that, 1 or 2 minutes, a couple of times, taking it up to maximum. So you definitely want your heart muscle to have been taken to maximum, and also fill your lungs to maximum.
Yeah,
so
you want to stretch the surface of the lungs to maximum, just so that they don't feel too much strain when it starts. Well, we're trying to ID some of the athletes. I'm sure you're well aware of those up front. We've got Shapulin, Johannes Tingesbo wearing 3, and we've got sitting just behind him, must be one of the other Norwegians. I think that's Ole Einar Bjorndalen wearing 5.
It is.
Who's moved up there. He's had such a good start. And of course, Bjorndalen taking the bronze medal in the World Championships last year in this discipline. So maybe he feels that this could be his day. Fourcade there with a red and yellow bib on. You'll know him well. Number 10, that's Julian Eberhardt, the fastest skier on the biathlon tour this year by some margin. He was 15 seconds quicker than anyone yesterday.
It's good to see him skiing. He's desperate. You just feel he's itching to get through this pack, but at 6'4", he just can't get through. The traffic doesn't allow it. The narrow tracks don't allow it.
Yeah, he's being restricted. You can see he's got the big red, big white headband on the inside of the turn, and not able to flow as he would like in these early stages.
Interesting there, Moravec's put a lot of energy going very wide around the outside, nearly tripped up, but he's moved forward about 6 places.
Germany will be keeping an eye. Number 8, that's Eric Lesser. Number 7 next door to him is Arndt Pfeiffer. And I think actually Benedikt Doller's moved up quite well. He's wearing 14.
It's a very steep first 1.3 kilometers, but 3:06 is a slow time by my reckoning.
Simon Schemp up there, sorry, for Germany as well. He's the one next door to Eric Lesser. Arndt Pfeiffer's dropped back a little. 23 going through. That's Jean-Guillaume Bertrix, who was one of the winners last year and actually won the very first mass start of the season last year. 5 mass starts last year. It's the only discipline where we had 5 different winners.
Blimey. Well, Martin doesn't rule the roost on the mass start then.
Can you name them?
Well, you mentioned one of them, got that one. I think Schemp won one of them.
Nice try, but no. Fourcade, of course, won one.
Vindish over in Canada, remember that? He was being chased and he managed to hold his nerve. Johannes in Oslo, of course, the world title.
And Eric Lesser winning in Ruhpolding. Will it be one of them? Will it be someone else?
Oh, well, I thought about Eric Lesser today, thinking, well, he's a good man at these disciplines, but he doesn't quite have the ski pace, and his stand shooting this season is letting him down just a little. Look at the coaches, sorry, this is a difficult left-hander, and just in front of that, in case they fall, all the coaches have got spare equipment here.
The big teams.
The big teams.
The big teams. There are plenty of teams here who don't have enough support to spread them out around the track, and I think that corner will be minimal risk, but there's a potential risk, and that is why you see the Italians, the Austrians, the French, Germans, Russians and Norwegians all with spare kit on that corner. Down they come. One more climb to go. 3 kilometers, remember the total distance for each loop. 5 times round to make up the 15. And with the downhill, they're actually spreading out more than we saw with the uphill section. It's Johannes Tingesbo, I think, who got a little fed up with the pedestrian pace. Alongside him is Eric Lesser, a man from Oberhof, where we go after Christmas, the next round of the World Cup. Now, one fact about Eric Lesser, Mike, he has not hit the last 5 in a head-to-head race, pursuit or mass start, since Ruhpolding last year.
Oh, that's a bad stat for him. Well, maybe that's why he's edging his way up to the front of the pack. But no, and we've noticed that this season, his stand shooting, and that was the case yesterday with Lesser. 0-0 in the prone, 2 in his first stand, and 1 in his second stand.
Now, we mentioned there'd be a few changes to the course. The distance of the men's is exactly the same. They've just had to cut out some bits and put in other bits to make up the 3,000. The women's, they've got to play their game on a 2-kilometre loop, which means they're going to be racing over 12 kilometres rather than 12.5. And the first loop will be 4K. Every loop after that will be the same as they used in the pursuit yesterday. If the pace is as slow as it is in the men's for the opening 4K loop, Mike, we're going to see a situation that advantages those who aren't quite as quick.
Yes, I think so. But, you know, when you look at a 4-kilometre first ski for the women later today, that maybe will initially hand the advantage to the faster skiers, but then it is a course in the women's field where they can stay quite tightly together.
You know what? I think there are more people here than we had for the final days of the World Championships in 2013. It's sensational. And the course packed as well on the uphill sections.
The athletes just cannot praise it enough. They say the atmosphere, not just in the stadium, but all around the track, is excellent.
And when we were here for the World Championships, we had plenty of opportunity to get out and see the local tracks. They were fantastic. It's a beautiful area for cross-country skiing, not often considered by many. Most head to the heart of the Alps or up to Scandinavia. Who's first to strike? It's Chapulin and Bjorndalen. Lesser is quick with the first two. Oleinen misses shot number 2. Lesser has 4 down. Eberhardt, who's skiing well, is... Oh, I thought he might hit 5 with 5. It would be a rarity, but he's not managed it. Krijsma hits 5. So does Fillon-Maillet. Martin Fourcade. He can afford to play safe. All he's got to do is keep tabs on the leaders, and he will have every chance of securing victory number 7.
Interesting. When you want it so much, sometimes in biathlon, you make mistakes, and that's what's happened with Schlesinger. Local boy wants the big deal race. He's missed 3 out of 5.
It's a busy penalty loop, and
it's very busy.
Yeah, Schlesinger's going around 3 times, so that's an extra 450 meters, and he's going to be right at the back of the pack after this. That's very, very disappointing for him. We'll try and pick up on the rest of the Czechs. Krijsma actually shot well and has come out in 5th position, so he's holding up the flag. And Sukup, who's back on the World Cup tour, he's done really well. He's only 11 seconds off the pace. He's down in 9th place.
Well, what about Johannes Tinges? He's missed 2 as well. Johannes Tinges-Bø leading the pace that first 3 kilometres. Maybe it wasn't the wisest thing to do.
Chapulin has got a lead of 5 seconds. Now, he had a lead of, what, 20 seconds over Martin Fourcade yesterday and couldn't capitalise on that. Are we going to see a different tactic? You thought he was tired. I thought he was just racing his own race as opposed to adapting to the situation, which is something that you sometimes have to do in the mass starts.
Very much. I felt that Chapulin, as the race went on yesterday, he put in a very fast second lap. I felt he got tired more towards the end.
Bailey looks tired. Number 9 there for the USA, but he's having his best start to any World Cup season. The tempo for Chapulin is slow. He's allowed Simon Eder to close the gap, and Eder's taken Martin Fourcade with him. Number 12, there's Michael Krijsma. He's not hanging around, wants to try and make contact with those leading 3. 19 is Elisiev of Russia, and he's starting to move up through the order. What did we have? 15 clear shoots out of the 30, so 50% going clear on the first shoot. You would have expected it to be around 60.
Normally it is. Normally we've got between 18 and 22 of the best biathletes in the world in ranking and those on form, but that's a little surprising. There wasn't as much wind on the range. Pre-Christmas fatigue, I reckon.
Bedrushny just ahead of his teammate from the Ukraine, Semenov 27. 12 is Michael Krijsma, who's closed the gap, and now he can steady down. But you can see from his technique that he's had to work very, very hard. Question is, will he recover before he comes in for shoot number 2? He's got a decent downhill section to get his breath back now.
Coaches all the way down giving the individual athletes information on where the targets were missed.
It's not so often you see them taking on board fluid in the biathlon events.
I thought Martin Fourcade was interesting on the range that first time. He really was deliberate. He was very careful. I just wanted to make sure the first 5 went down.
But a lot of people, Mike, when they do that, they actually shoot worse. I think you'll probably point out Johannes Tingesbo. Last year it was all reflex, it was relaxed, it was just let it go. This year there seems to be much more deliberation. But Martin Fourcade, he's decided his race tactics before the race starts. And today it was just clear the prone. I suspect we'll see a similar shoot on the second prone. He won't worry about the others.
I think you're right, but he's so unusual and rare in that he can alter his shooting pace and still hit them. When a lot of biathletes try that, they break their normal routine and it puts them off, like Johannes Tinges. He's been trying to be controlled in the range, and at the moment it's not working. And I think Mazet is a great coach. The French coach has now gone over to the Norwegians, but Johannes isn't quite getting it at the moment on the rifle.
But it's still pretty tight. We've only got 10 seconds separating the top 16 athletes. Svetkov's done well to hang on in there. Eric Lesser missed the target, but he's only 11 behind. Simon Schemp is 12, Bjorndalen 15, Morovets 15, all those men missing 1 target. We have to go all the way down to Johannes Tingesbo. If you're wondering why you haven't seen him, he missed 2 on that first shoot, and he's 29 seconds behind. And if he wants to play a part in this, the world champion is going to have to push the pace on this second loop.
Talking about pace, the fastest man out there, well, Eberhard from Austria, he went out to 25 seconds down. He's got that back already to some 8 seconds. What a skier.
I think we'll see him close it even further, Eberhard. He's wearing 10.
It's expensive, though. If you're pulling that kind of time back each lap, it's going to hit you as the race progresses. What about Schlesinger? We mentioned he did those 3 penalty loops. He went out 1 minute 16 behind. He's killing himself out there. He's got that down to 1:10, but he's last.
But it's still not flat out. But they know that this race gets harder and harder as it goes on. It will be 6 kilometers completed by the time they come in. They'll have another 9 to go. And it's a tough course here in NOVE MESTO, which is why we're disappointed Svensson isn't racing, because it's a course that really suits his strengths. But after a good spell, he'll be happy with his pre-Christmas run, Mike Svensson. He's back on the podium. He's had 2 visits to the podium, but then just dropping away. Is that just unlucky that he's picked up some bug, or do you think perhaps pushing too hard in the training?
You're always on the edge, aren't you, as an athlete, as a top-class athlete, and he's certainly improved, and I think he just got a bit of a chest infection.
Yeah, to put it simply, all your reserves are going into recovering from your training sessions as opposed to fighting off the bugs.
And if you've got a little bug, it can bring you down quite quickly. And I think it was safe and sensible for Svensson to back off. I would love to have seen him out here today, but not to be. What's Schapulin doing? I think he was irritated a couple of times. Martin, well, there's Martin going past him now. Martin clipped the back of his skis. He wasn't impressed.
Well, he also wants. He knows Fourcade's going to fight for the first lane, because that's where he zeroed his weapon. And Schapulin will be quite happy to slot onto lane 2, which is where he zeroed his. So maybe just let the Frenchman go. Don't get involved in a battle. Schapulin showed good control yesterday coming in to shoot. And generally, he was second down on the map, but the first to get the first target down.
But psychologically, wouldn't it have been better, I would like to think,
to upset him.
To upset Martin. He can upset everyone. Why not try a wee strategy to put him off? Can anybody put him off?
Here we go. Shoot number 2. The last in the prone position. You do not want to be chasing after shoot 2. Simoneda, surprise, surprise. First to get the first down. He's almost got 3 down before anyone else has cleared 2. Schapulin's got a miss. Fourcade just taking it easy. Birkeland has 3, 4. Petrushny's very quick. 8-5. Sukup 5. And Martin Fourcade brings this race alive. So the 2 fastest men, Schapulin and Fourcade, are on the penalty loop. Bjorndalen's got 5 this time. Looking for Eberhard, another miss, but he's got 4 out of 5, so he's still going to be there or thereabouts come shoot number 3. Johannes Tinges, having missed 2 on the first visit, this time he goes clear. Again, it's the consistency that stopped him notching up win after win.
Very much, but I tell you what, Johannes Tinges now only 18 seconds off. He's going to hunt that pace down, surely. Having missed 2 the first time, he's really skiing fast.
Now, Mike, if you were in the leading group, do you suddenly up the pace because you realise that the world #1 and the world #2 currently are some 20 seconds behind?
I think you have to. I think the pace has to be strong. Martin missing there at 6 o'clock, and much of an edge shot, but most of the lead, the 5mm wide lead, missed.
Well, there you see the margins. Bjorndalen missed on the first shoot, so he was able to close it up on that second lap of skiing. He's only 13 down, but he's the fastest so far with someone who has missed targets. Who is it leading the pace? One of the Germans, it looks like, or is it Austria coming up the hill?
Simon Eder, isn't it?
It is Simon Eder, who's Birkeland of Norway going through into the lead. Julian Eberhardt is wearing 10. Is he in that group? I don't think so, because he missed a second target, so he's had a lot of work to do. 17 is Simon Eder, so it was Simon Eder leading. Just behind him from Ukraine is Dmitry Pedrushny, and then 29, the best of the Czechs, Yaroslav Sukup, who will be keeping the local fans excited.
And isn't that strange? Prior to this competition, Sukup was the absolute last in the team in terms of ranking, but he showed his courage here. Having been put back to IBU Cup to get his racing form back, he seems to have found it.
And of course not raced quite as heavily as the World Cup skiers, so that might be a factor, and it might be something that teams look at to say, well, come the third round of the World Cup, we want to bring some fresh blood in to give ourselves a chance.
So much so. Pedrushny, only 2 Ukrainian athletes in this 30 lineup. Pedrushny's going well. Sheminov must have missed.
No, we haven't mentioned Dominic Vindish. He's sitting there at the back. He finished 4th in the World Championships last year, and that was hitting 18 out of 20. So far, Vindish has hit 10 out of 10, so it's looking good for the Italian, and he's actually got a really good record in mass starts. He won out in Canada, got his first World Cup win out there at the end of last season, so don't rule him out of taking the win, despite the fact that he's wearing 30 and was the last man to qualify.
Look at the track, Patrick. It's breaking up, warm temperatures here, especially on the uphill. The downhills are still hard and comfortable.
Margin between the leaders, we're waiting for them to go through 7.3 kilometres. When they came out of the range, Shapulin was 19 down, Fourcade was 22 down. I suspect that's been cut to around 15. We'll find out very shortly. Svetkov in 8th position, and Svetkov hitting 10 out of 10 so far. Now, here come those who've missed. Fourcade's got the gap down to 14. Shapulin not quite staying with the pace. Well, this is a devastating loop from Fourcade.
Only 14 seconds behind now. It was 23. But, you know, now we're going in for the first of the 2 stand shoots. The race on the track is really at its fastest level. Rush is still going well. I thought he shot...
Yeah, he's hit 9. I think he's looking a little bit tired today. He was shooting fast enough, but just lost time on the range and the tracks yesterday. His secret to success yesterday was hitting the 20 targets.
That's a tricky section there on the track. You saw the arms going wide. Most of the athletes trying to get some assistance, low center of gravity, arms out to assist balance. Surprised in terms of shooting. After 10 shots fired in the prone, only 8 have hit 10 out of 10. Normally we'd see about 15, 11 to 15 hitting 10 out of 10. Difficult range here, but not windy.
Well, I'd be surprised if we had more than 3 who hit all 20 today. The intensity on this third loop has been very high indeed. There's the leading group of 7-8 athletes just going under the tunnel. They've still got some work to do before they come into the range. But Martin Fourcade getting closer and closer. It was 14 seconds last time we saw him. And just in front of Fourcade is Johannes Tingesbo and Oliana Bjorndalen. Be nice to see a first-time winner today. I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Hey, you never know. There's still we've got Eder. I think Eder's looking good today. His shooting looks back to normal. He's been hesitating, not quite going to his normal 24 seconds from stop to start in the range. But he's got his shooting speed back today. Well, Biathlon at the front. He's trying to pick it up now, isn't he?
He's doing very good work indeed. He's done all the donkey work. We'll see whether he pays a price for that. Biathlon actually has never finished on the podium, so anything in the top three would be a PB and be just the sort of boost he needs going into the Christmas break. Sukup there sitting in just behind Biathlon, which is good news. Babikov seems to have got some form back, Mike. He's up in 5th place. I'm assuming that Babikov has hit all the targets. He has. 10 out of 10 for the Russian, who won the pursuit in Östersund in the first week of the season.
Schempe still only 21 seconds behind, but Schempe's had a very poor start. He missed one the first time and skied so fast to bring all his 22 seconds back, but in doing that it cost him another target second time.
I don't know if you saw that little slip from Jean-Guillaume Bertix coming around the corner, got all his weight on the inside ski. A very, very good recovery as the upper body rotated, but that will have pushed the pulse rate up a little. He's going to find it that much harder to settle for shoot number 3. Nervous moments for all the coaches.
Yeah, Andre Ribard there, done so much for Czech Republic Biathlon, and he would love for a podium today. So would the 25,000 fans.
Just looking for the yellow bib of Martin Fourcade. I think he's in that second group. He was, last time we saw him, he was only 5 behind, so he's at the back of this group, and this time he will not get lane number 1. It's going to be Björklund of Norway. Sukup next door to him. 24 is Dimitri Pedrushny, who's had a solid race so far. And then Dominic Vindish of Italy.
Fourcade has pulled all of those 24 seconds back already.
Simoneda strikes early. Martin Fourcade doesn't hang around either. 2 out of 2 for the Frenchman as he bids to try and get back in front. This is what he did yesterday. 5 out of 5 for Fourcade, despite the fact that he was 20 seconds quicker than anyone else on that last loop. Beatrix, Babikov clear the targets. Pedrushny, Björklund's gone down. Vindish is finished. Bjorndalen with another miss is going to find it very, very difficult. And Anton Shapulin of Russia, I'm afraid he's not going to get that win that he so desperately wants. I know it sounds a bit presumptuous to say that, Mike, but 150 metres with so many people going clear on that third shoot, I think he's really going to be struggling.
It's a tough part of the race now. Just 3 kilometres to the next shoot, then 3 kilometres to finish. What a pity. Rasteguriev's, his weakness is the stand. He's gone and missed 3. And he was only 8 seconds off the front of the pack.
Johannes Tingesbo now 26 behind, but catching the pack is not going to be so easy because leading the way is Martin Fourcade, and he's not going to hang around. But you have to question, Mike, how much has he got left after that incredible third loop?
This is where Martin Fourcade is unique in the history of biathlon. He pulled back 24 seconds there. He shot faster than anybody, so again he can change things in an instant and turn things around to his benefit.
For those of you who are fed up with his success, it won't go on forever.
I got a few texts yesterday saying, okay, we love him, we think he's great, but let's see another winner.
Well, you may have some wait. You may have to wait until after Christmas, because look at this. He's turning on the turbos again, and no one else seems to be able to go with him. The leading 5. Well, Martin Fourcade leading. Morovitz is number 20. 24 we know is from the Ukraine. That's Pedrushny, who was the first man out of the range, but he's not interested in chasing down Martin Fourcade. A top 3 would keep him happy. 16 is Anton Babikov. Now, Babikov actually beat Fourcade in a head-to-head in Östersund, and that's so important in terms of what he believes he can do.
But that's interesting. He's the only man to beat Fourcade this season on a head-to-head to take him out, and Babikov had to work really hard getting through the traffic, but he realizes if you don't close this gap down now, you've got no chance when Fourcade's at the front. So Babikov putting all his money on the table.
And Babikov matched Fourcade on the last loop of that pursuit. But, you know, if we draw a graph of Babikov's performance, it was right high in Östersund. In Pokuka, it dropped down a little. And at the beginning here in NOVE MESTO, he didn't seem to have anything to give. So a remarkable turnaround.
And exactly that. Look what's happening now. He tried to press his hardest pace. He's spent force a little now. body giving up on him after that surge of pace.
And another injection of speed from Martin Fourcade turns the gap from 5 metres closer to 25. Brilliant skiing from the Frenchman. Here he goes, one shoot remaining. He's still got 4.5 kilometres to ski. 25 minutes on the clock at the moment. They're not hanging around.
I have to say, Pegrushny in second place, ranked 24th in the world. He's having a fantastic day.
Now, if he clears the 5 targets, Mike, will Fourcade celebrate as he did yesterday?
I think he will. He realised that there's not a man out there that can catch him on his skis.
Well, he had a huge margin of advantage after the final shoot in the pursuit yesterday. He's only got 5 seconds at the moment, but the way he shot on that first stand, he could turn 5 into 10. And I think he'll know that no one's going to catch 10 seconds on him on the last lap. Well, we've got a great race for the minor placings, but you never know. Fourcade has had meltdowns in the past. Most of them have come in Sweden. We'll see what happens here. And of course, he had a good World Championships here back in 2013, but he went home with loads of silver rather than loads of gold.
He did. It was all about Svensson, wasn't it, at the World Championships here?
And of course, Tarjei Bo, who beat him in the mass start.
Yeah, Svensson got a bronze in that mass start, and outside of that, with the relays, he picked up 4 golds. 4 golds and a bronze. Not a bad World Champs.
Well, the Czechs are still in it, and it's now Andrej Moravec. Sukup was right up there, Mike, and he's still not far off the pace, but he did miss one on that last shoot, so he's dropped to 28 seconds. We've got a tight group between 28 and 38 seconds, which contains some 12 athletes. Shapulin is now 46 behind. I think he's given up the chase, doesn't seem to be able to close the gap. And just seeing, yeah, Shapulin's gone from 32 to 46, so he's a spent force.
Schemp, what a pity, his 2 prone targets, one each time, but he's still well and truly in the race, is Schemp, just 27 seconds behind.
Well, this is the race for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, and Fourcade's gone. He's just disappeared. He's quicker on the uphills, he's quicker on the flats, and he's sharper on the downhills. He is the full package this season, no doubt about it, totally dominant, and you're a brave man to bet against him at this point. But maybe he'd be better off just easing up before the final shoot. This is the last climb. He'll break to the left at the top of here, and then he'll start to think about the routine for the range. He'll have made his mind up already, I think, Mike, what he's going to do when he gets to the mat. Are we going to see a delay before the first shoot, or do you think he'll do what he did on that last one?
I think he'll anchor himself so tightly into the rifle, and I think he'll go for a slightly slower 5 shots than the previous time in the stand. He needs to be careful.
Now, I hope we get to see a close-up of his targets. I don't think it's going to happen, but yesterday it was astonishing what he did on his last shoot, and the French still have a chance of getting 2 on the podium today. Jean-Guillaume Beatrix is there, and Beatrix, as I mentioned, got a win in the pursuit last year.
What about
in the mass start, I should say.
What about Moravec? Yes, he's only 2 seconds behind Babikov's 2nd place, so Moravec is now sorting his mindset to cope with the pressure and try and win Czech Republic the first medal here.
Johannes Tingesbo at 31, having been 29, so Fourcade's doing a lot of damage. No one's staying with the pace, and whether you like it or not, the fact that he's dominating, you have to admire what Fourcade has done so far this year. He's mastered a sport that so many struggle with. Are we going to see a little bit of brilliance to wrap up the day and wrap up this first period of the Biathlon World Cup? Well, the fans enjoying the fact that Moravec is still there with a chance. I think if Moravec gets a podium, that will be more than enough. Keep an eye on him. He's going to be on lane number 4 for the shoot.
Fourcade buying himself 10 seconds comfort before the rest of the world.
Doesn't look as though a gale would move him, and it won't. So it's in the bag.
Good.
It is in the bag. Babikov's got to be quick. He's got 4. Babikov looking for second. Moravec has thrown one wide, but so is Babikov. So that opens up an opportunity. And Jean-Guillaume Beatrix now could go second. France 1 and 2. They can do no wrong this week here in NOVE MESTO. And he's going to have a lead of at least 100 meters over third position. Watch the times. Fourcade is away. 29.59.
Shame, that was a rapid 5 out of 5. Sukup feeling the pressure. He's missed 3. 0, 0, 0, 3.
Maillet in 7, Bjorn Dahlen down in 33 seconds the margin, so possibility of another top 10. That will be an interesting fight for Bjorn Dahlen. Beatrix had his opportunity, a miss on that last shoot pushes him 36 behind. He could have been up with the top 4 without a doubt. And Benedict Doll, we haven't seen him much today. We'll try and let you know what his shooting has been like. I suspect he missed 3 prior to shoot number 4. I think he must have been on the loop again, so I think at least 4 misses for Benedict. Now let's see where these go. He hit 4 in the prone yesterday. The first one was certainly in the prone.
Ooh, that was
next
lucky.
2 were wide. That might have put it down, and that was close. That was close, but it doesn't matter. They've all gone down, and it's another cruising lap. I'm not sure we're going to see too many high fives on this final lap because he knows he's being chased.
Well, this is some chase, Patrick. We've got Babikov chased by Moravec, Pegrushny there, Elisev, Johannes Tingesbo. They're all within 5 seconds. Maillet, Schemp, Bjorn Dahlen, and Beatrix, all within 10 seconds.
Yeah, just the sort of finish they didn't want when they woke up this morning. At the moment, it looks like Anton Babikov's got the strength, and he's started to pull clear. He's opened up 3 seconds. Johannes Tingis trying to get back on the podium to keep... actually, if Johannes Tingis can get a good result, he'll go back into second place. And Uliane and Bjorn Dahlen at the back of that group. It's another really good run. And I think, Mike, the Norwegians were right when they said it's not a question of allowing Bjorn Dahlen to come on the team. We need him.
They need him. He's showed his colours this season. He's ranked 5th in the world. He's 42-year-old.
Well, this is where the race is, and I hope we stay with it. We know that Fourcade's going to win this one. Little stumble from Johannes Tingis, and he will not thank Simon Schemp, who's right behind him.
I think Schemp looks good. Schemp wants this. What a pity about his prone shooting. Missing those 2 targets. He didn't miss any in the stand.
Okay, where's your money with this trio? It looks though it's going to be between Babikov, Bo and Schemp, unless Moravec can just raise his game. But I think that final penalty loop cost him. Little burst from Martin Fourcade as he comes up to 13.3.
Well, Fourcade really attacked that climb, but they're miles behind. Nearly 27 seconds behind.
Johannes Tingis still tucking in behind Anton Babikov. He'll try and let him do the work on the uphill sections and then maybe get a little bit of a catapult into the range area and the finish area, of course, when they come down. Martin Fourcade is on his way. Victory number 7 out of 8 races this season. His lead in the World Cup standings, what was it, over 120 before today, 127. It could go up to 140, depends where Johannes Tingesbo finishes in this sprint. 60 points for first. For second place, you get 54, 48 for third. Now, I think we could be looking at a 140-point margin, which is the greatest ever. It's certainly the best ever opening to a season that we've seen from any athlete. And I think some of the best racing we've ever had in World Cup terms. Well, I wonder where your money is. Bjorn Dahlen's still hanging in there at the back of that group. He's doing well. He's pretty much keeping pace, but I'm not sure he's got another gear to go up. And we've got a faller. It could be Johannes Tingesbo who's gone down. And that is a let-off for Babikoff. It is Johannes Tingis who goes down. Not sure whose fault that was. Well, we mentioned that that was a potential falling spot at the beginning of the race. You wouldn't expect someone like Johannes Tingis, who's so good on his skis, but it just shows you have to stay focused. And instead of a three-man chase, we have a two-man chase. Babikoff and Schempp now looking for those places on the podium. Well, Fourcade is away. The margin at the last split was 26 seconds, and he came out of the range with 27 to play with. So Fourcade is doing just enough. Long look over the shoulder, almost home and dry. Last little climb for him, but the race is still on. And I tell you what, Alisiev of Russia isn't going to let Babikoff have this one easily. Babikoff stays skate 2. Good, strong stride. Simon Schempp seems to be able to match him. And on the outside, Alisiev starting to make ground. Moravec's there wearing 20, just looking ahead, digging deeper than he's done at any stage so far this season. And Johannes Tingis still with one pole. That's poor drills from the Norwegian team. He needs another pole if he's going to improve his position. And how costly is that going to prove in the World Cup standings? Well, here's your winner. Here's your champion. And we've had a long debate over who is the best biathlete of all time. If he's not there yet, he's another step closer to proving that he is the #1 of all time. 7 victories, 8 races, astonishing. Another 16 to go this season. At that rate, he could pick up another 14 and take his tally over 70 come the end of the season. What a race. Simon Schempp, good to see him in good form. Babikoff gets 3, Moravec 4, Petrushny, Alisiev, Bjorndalen and Fionn Maillet 7-8. And Johannes Tingis, who should have been up there in the top 3, finishes down in 9th with that fall on the only really difficult downhill section on the course. Dessieux keeps the French numbers up in the top positions. Fionn Maillet there in 8th. We've got Eric Lesser comes in 11. There's Anton Chapulin, and Chapulin missing, just seeing how many. He missed only 2 targets in all, but just missed them at the wrong stage of the race. You need those last 5. Well, I think we're running out of superlatives for Martin Fourcade. Totally in control today. He can make mistakes and he can make up for it. He had a devastating loop on the 3rd loop to get back in touch with the leaders. Mikkel Schlesinger just coming across the line, who missed 3 on the first shoot and finishes last as a result of that. And of course, there are the graphics again. 56 wins. He didn't even have 50 at the start of the season. Martin Fourcade is on an incredible roll, and we'll just have to wait and see what he can do by the end of the season. If he gets up to 70, he may decide that 100 World Cup wins is possible, and he'll only have to hang around for another 2 or 3 seasons. Anton Chapulin faded. And again, the importance of hitting all the targets on the very last shoot. If you're going to make a mistake in the mass start or the pursuit, make it early on. Give yourself a chance to come back. And Martin Fourcade looked rock steady with that standing shoot. I know the last shot was just a little bit wayward, but still comfortably inside the standing target. And all 5 falling, giving him the